Here we got this 2007 Nissan Sentra. This one's a SER version, so it's like the top tier one. So the other day, the owner wanted me to have a quick look at it. She said because the oil gauge, you can see right there, that's the oil gauge. She said it would keep dropping to zero and then come back up and, on and off, basically. So she brought it over. The engine sounded like crap, by the way. Pulled out the dipstick. No oil in the engine. So what do? She was like, well, when can I schedule for an oil change? Schedule? I was like, this thing needs oil today, like literally right now. Can you get an oil change today and like have someone go get the stuff? No, I can't do it. I don't got the money, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, I found some used oil around the garage. You know, my motto, used oil is better than no oil, right? So I went ahead and filled it up, all 5 quarts, used oil. The second we turned on the engine, it sounded like a completely different engine. Surprise! That the engine runs better with oil in it, right? Anyway, so it's here because it's long past due for front pads and rotors. Which I told her months ago that she needed. She's got a crazy like warped rotors. The pedal feels like crap, and whenever she does hit the brakes, the steering wheel shakes like crazy. And then on the front right side, she's got a lower ball joint that's completely destroyed, and it's eating up her tires. And this is like her third used tire that she's put on it. So what we have here today is a set of premium Akebono brake pads, some nice coated front rotors, and a Moog front right lower control arm. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these parts on the car, get this thing knocked out. And there we have it. New control arm is installed, new rotors, new pads. The old pads were seized in the bracket, so I had to put the bracket in the sandblaster and get all that rust off of there. Everything now moves freely. So that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this job. The front left side is already knocked out. So I took this Nissan out for a test drive to make sure everything's fine with the brakes. And I was showing you guys earlier how on startup, like when everything's kind of cooled off, the oil pressure was around 60. And after a maybe 5-10 minute test drive, look at that oil pressure. It's just here at idle. So half of 60 would be 30 right there, the big mark in the middle. So this thing's at about what? Say about 15, 16 PSI. I don't know the specs for this car, but that seems kind of low for oil pressure. Anyway, I'm not surprised, given the fact that the owner constantly drives around with no oil in the engine. Yeah, I'm sure there's some damage being done, and the engine is having a difficult time trying to keep that oil pressure. And in case anyone's wondering, this thing has 127,000 on it. Got this Mitsubishi Outlander here in the garage once again. Some of you may recognize it. It's been here in the garage a handful of times over the years. This is the customer that had a complaint that her car constantly sounds like it has bad wheel bearings. So it's had like almost all of the front suspension replaced, almost all of the wheel bearings replaced, and the customer still had the same exact complaint. So when I looked at the tires, number one, they were old, dry rotted, mismatched tires, like different brands. And then some of them just had like lumps on them or like bald spots. So I told her, you know what, we need to start somewhere. Get rid of these tires, they're no good. Get a whole set. So finally she comes back a few weeks later or a month later, whatever. She said, okay, I got new tires. And you look at them, they're not even the same brand, so they're not really new tires, if you get what I'm saying. So she just went and got a set of like used tires that have decent tread on them, but they're not matching. So I'm like, just like face palm. Okay, whatever, right? So it's a few months later and she dropped it off. This complaint now is at around 65, 70 miles per hour. She said the steering wheel shakes like almost violently. So the first thing I did when she dropped it off was jack the front end up and look for anything loose, and I didn't. Everything feels nice and tight. The ball joints, the tie rods, the wheel bearing, everything's nice and tight. Nothing is moving. So I took it out for a test drive and I got on the main road over here, and of course at like 55 miles per hour I could already start to feel the problem. It feels like it's shaking, and I would imagine the faster you drive it only gets worse. So I checked the tire pressure. Front right side had about 35 psi, which is good. This side had about 20 psi. So of course I went ahead and filled it up. But it didn't really make a difference. That's shaking the steering wheel. Oh, on top of that, in order to go straight in this car, this is the first thing I noticed, is you kind of have to hold the steering wheel a little bit to the left to keep this car straight down the road, and it's constantly fighting you. It keeps wanting to pull to the right, and you got to keep pulling it to the left just to keep this car straight. So that's all. You know what, even though she says she took it in for a wheel alignment, I don't I don't believe this, okay? She keeps insisting that she took it in for wheel alignment, but this just isn't adding up. You can see I got the measuring tape right there on the ground, and guess what, guys? From the front of the tire to the rear of the tire, doing a measurement from this tire to that tire, there is about half an inch difference. So this thing has too much toe out. The front of the tires is pointing outward compared to the rear of the tires. So it's like pigeon-toed, you get what I'm saying? So I had my daughter help me. She was holding the measuring tape on the other side of the car. So when I measured the distance from here to the front left wheel, we got a certain measurement, right? And then when we did the same exact measurement on the rear of the tires from here to the opposite tire, there's about half an inch difference. That is massive, guys. When it comes down to wheel alignments, that's extreme. That's a lot. So if we look at her new tires, look at the wear indicator. See it right here, how it's slightly recessed and it's below the tread. As we come further to the back, you know, you see it's getting closer and it's already touching the wear indicator. See that? And if we come over here, it's recessed. So basically, the inside of the tire is wearing down a lot faster than the outside. Now let's go on the other side of the car. Okay, again, look at this side. Looks pretty good on the outside. You see the wear indicator right there? We got plenty of tread, right? Looks decent. And as we go inside, look at this wear indicator. Right flush with it. So again, the inside of the tire is wearing out. This is a result of the alignment being off. The car has way too much toe out, and that's what's going on here, guys. So she keeps telling me she had a wheel alignment done, but I just don't believe it. The evidence is proving otherwise. You get what I'm saying? And she has yet to show me an alignment sheet. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know the sheet you get from a shop whenever you get an alignment done. They show you if something's in green or in red. She has yet to provide me one of those sheets. Either she's not telling the truth, or the place that she's going to is doing a job at doing a wheel alignment. I have no idea. But there's nothing I can do here because there's nothing wrong. There's nothing here for me to replace. This thing needs a proper wheel alignment, and that's pretty much it. Okay, I've got a 2018 Chrysler 300, and it's here because it needs its frog changed. And here it goes right here on the windshield, just jumping around. Alright, so we had a new part from AutoZone. So the owner got in the zone. AutoZone. Let's go ahead and change out this bad boy. Alright guys, so we are back with this Nissan Sentra. It's the one that the starter just recently gave out while it was here parked in my driveway. So it's back for that fan assembly like I mentioned last time. But let's go ahead and check it. See, it starts up. Boom, starts up every single time. And the power steering still works perfectly. So that's all good. Let's go ahead and, well, that's an interesting coloring page. Let's go ahead and get the new fan assembly and we'll get this bad boy installed. Alright, so I got the new fan assembly installed. Everything went pretty easy. You can see the old one is right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and test the system and make sure this fan assembly turns on all by itself. Alright, so I tried to use my jumper relays, but none of the fuse panels are labeled, so I don't know what's what. So I just connected my scanner, and we're going to use the bi-directional controls on the scanner to activate the fan. So you can see I got the fan right here. Let's go ahead and turn it on. We'll go straight to low speed first. And there goes the fans. Low speed works. Let's go up to high speed. And there goes high speed. That also works. Turn it off. And now they're off. Okay, fans are working. Everything's good. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this turd out of here. You guys remember Miller the filler? Well, it's back again. It's been a few months actually since I did that master cylinder. Guy's been driving it just fine, but it got towed in again because no brakes. The guy said the pedal went all the way to the floor, and right now I just got in it. I pumped the brake pedal. You can see we have a puddle right here on the ground, and it looks like something up here is leaking. You can see the trail of fluid where it's wet, and there's like a whole cluster of lines up there. And it doesn't look like I'm going to be touching this one, because those lines are all just rotted away. There's really nothing to work with. Like, you would have to run all new lines, which I'm not doing. And I told the owner about this before he even told it, and I told him, hey, if it's a caliper that's leaking or a brake hose, then yes, I can fix it. But if it turns out that it's one of the brake lines and they're all rotted away, I told him I'm not going to touch it, and there's a high possibility that you're going to have to get this thing towed out of here, because I'm not going to touch it. And he said that's fine. So it looks like that's where we're at, because I'm not touching this. This looks new right here. I guess it's a custom made rocker panel. That's crazy. Look at this. That's a first. Anyway, yeah, I'm not touching this thing, so I'll get a hold of the owner. And honestly, I don't know what shop is gonna fix that. That might be a liability issue if he doesn't want to do it the right way and replace all the lines. Which, looking at the condition of that car, that truck may be ready for the junkyard. You guys remember Miller the filler, that pickup truck? He's back, and this guy got an upgrade. He finally got rid of Miller the filler. He's like, man, and I just got the body work done on it too, and I had to trade it in. So he's upgraded. And I don't know, I'm kind of seeing some wonky stuff now that I'm walking past. You see the door? And this wasn't the point of the video. I'm not trying to point out any defects or anything. I'm just trying to show you guys that he got an upgrade, and it certainly is an upgrade. But right here I could see ripples in the paint, and yeah, there's definitely some shrinking in the paint. There was some sort of a dent right here and it got repaired. I could see that. Anyway, it's not a big deal. It's a massive upgrade over what he had before. It's a decent looking truck. So anyways, it's here today to get front brake pads put on it, and that's all we're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this out.